everyone, today I'm here to talk about some hard-hitting contemporaries. So I've been wanting to do this video forever, and I honestly have a whole list of videos I want to do and like recommendation videos, and I feel like I always miss like 2 or 3 books that I haven't read quite yet, so I can't recommend them, so I never do those videos. Well, I'm just gonna do them this year, even if I don't have all the recommendations I want to have. But today's video recommendation is all about the hard-hitting contemporaries, and what that means, honestly, at least to me, is books that are contemporary books that deal with a little bit more heavier issues than say your, general run-of-the-mill fluffy type of contemporary books. They could vary in so many different things. They could talk about mental health. They could talk about pregnancy, adoption, abortion, city things, and immigration, and just there's a whole spectrum of different things that really classify as hard-hitting contemporary. So, when I think of contemporary books, I automatically think of books like by Casey West or Sarah Dessen, books that are a little bit lighter and happier. And then there's also another branch of contemporary books that are a little bit more, have more depth to them and have a little bit more, harder things to read about. So that's what we're talking about today, is some of my favorite books that really have those gripping topics that just really have a lot more hard-hitting issues and things of that nature. So without further ado, let's get into it, because I've been talking quite a while for this intro. The first book I want to talk about is The Names They Gave Us by Emery. This book made me cry. Not a lot of books make me cry, especially a lot of young adult books. They don't make me cry a ton. It's all about this girl named Lucy. She's about to go in her senior year. Everything's going great. She's going to be a swim captain. Her mom's doing well. Her dad's a pastor, but then she gets word that her mom's cancer has re-emerged. So she's really having a hard time dealing with that, and also having a hard time dealing with her faith in God, because this is happening once again. And her mother decides, instead of going to her usual Bible camp every single summer, she wants Lucy to go to a different camp for the summer, a camp for troubled youth, and be a counselor. So she goes there and she meets a whole new set of people, and she meets all of these teenagers and young kids that have a lot of different things happening in their life. And this book's just so much about that. It's about reading about people from all different walks of life. It's about Lucy dealing with her faith and grappling and being angry at God and learning things like that. I really enjoyed this book. It's definitely a very serious book. It did have a lot of lighthearted and tender moments, but I'd say it's my favorite by Emery. I really enjoyed it for the fact that it was a little bit more serious, and I enjoyed the faith topic. It's, it could be hit or miss for you, if depending on your religious views and things like that, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very good perspective, and I thought it was a honest depiction, so I really liked it. Definitely very hard-hitting and cry. Oh, this book made me cry a lot. The next book I have is Far From the Tree by Robyn Benway. Another amazing book. This is one of my favorite books that I read last year, and I just loved it so much. This is about 3 siblings, only they really don't know they're siblings quite yet. Start off with our main character, Grace. Grace has always known that she's been adopted. She has loving adoptive parents, and Grace gets pregnant and she puts her own baby up for adoption, and she starts to think about her real biological mother, and she starts to search for her with the aid of her adoptive parents. And through that searching for her biological mother, she learns that she has 2 siblings that also share the same biological mother as her. So she goes out and searches them, and she meets them, and their names are Maya and Joaquin, and she learns about them. Maya has also been adopted, and she really loves her family, but she's really having a hard time because she is the adopted kid, and she also has a sister that is a full-fledged biological kid, so she's having a hard time fitting in. And then we have Joaquin, who's never been adopted, and he's lived in foster care systems his entire life. These siblings meet up, and they all have the same mom, and they're trying to search for their mom and trying to form a bond with each other. And it was a really beautiful book, and it had 0 romance in it, which I really appreciated. I love a lot of contemporary with a lot of ooey gooey romances, but I also love ones that are downright family to the core books, and this is one that is just strictly all about family and learning that there can be different types of family, and you could bond with some family members more than others, and it's just amazing. I love this. It had so many great things in it, adoption and foster care systems and things like that. I loved reading the progression of the bond that these siblings shared. Like, over the course of the book, you could see how they're getting closer, and it was just amazing. So I love this one. If you're just looking for a great book, a lot of people compare this book to This Is Us and Parenthood. I would say I recommend that. I would say I stand behind that completely. It is a great book if you're wanting something like those 2 shows. And now I have an oldie but goodie one. I have loved this book for a long time, and that is Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. This is one of her earlier books, and I really enjoy it. This is for sure her saddest book. hands down. We follow our main character Taylor, and she goes to her family's lake house every single summer, and she's, you know, this summer's gonna be harder than last because she's learning things about her father, and maybe he is not doing so well health-wise. You can pretty much guess what's gonna happen, obviously, but that's what this whole summer is about, is bonding with their father, you know, because it may be their last summer with him. And she's also, you know, reacquainting herself with the guy that she used to be with in previous years. Forgive me, it's been such a long time since I've read this book, but I just remember having such strong feelings for this book and how it made me cry. This is one of the few, like I said, have made me cry a lot, because this book obviously deals with cancer. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. I think a lot of people can guess that. And it's a topic very near and dear to my heart because my brother had cancer and he's in remission, thankfully, but you know, some cases are not like that. And just reading any books with cancer just strikes a chord in me. And this book definitely was so amazing, but so sad. So get all the tissues for this book for sure. Then I have The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola. I read this book a few years ago and loved it. This book is, it verges on maybe kind of lighthearted, but also deals with a lot of important topics. In this book, we follow our main characters, Natasha and Daniel. Natasha and Daniel meet like on a whim, and they spend like the next day together. This book takes place in like 12 hours, and Daniel learns that Natasha is actually being deported. Her family has been here in the US illegally, and they're getting deported back to Jamaica later the next day. And her and Daniel have a whirlwind day together, and they could essentially just fall in love. And it's about reading about them and about Natasha trying to figure out if she can stay in the US and trying to fight for a right to be a US citizen. And I really enjoyed this book. It had one of the best romances I've ever read in a series. I love the romance so much in this book, but it also dealt with so many things like diversity and immigration, which was very, very, you know, important. I think that Natasha's experience is a lot of people's experience in the US, and it was just very important to read about. And it's a very gripping one because you know what's going to happen and you don't want it to happen, but you know what's going to happen. It's just sad, but it was such a good, amazing book. Next, I have How to Love by Kdk Doug. How to Love is my favorite Kdk Doug books. I'd say most of her books are a little bit more lighthearted and funny. This one's not so serious, but it does deal with some serious issues. This book has two different timelines. We follow Rena, who fell in love very, very quickly with this guy named Sawyer, and they had a whirlwind romance, but Sawyer had a lot of problems. And then one day, Sawyer just up and left, and then Rena gets pregnant. And then we flash forward to 2 years later, Sawyer comes back and he realizes, oh, I have a daughter with Rena, and they're rekindling their relationship, and you know, they had to hash a lot of things out. You're reading about a relationship come together, and fall apart, and then picking up the pieces quintessentially in this whole book. And while it wasn't the best book, both of the characters were very problematic, but I felt like they were very true to life characters, like people genuinely meet, honestly. It did deal with, like, you know, pregnancy and substance abuse and different hard-hitting topics, you know, and about being a single mother for a while. I'm not a single mother, and I commend anyone that's a single mom. I think you're doing amazing. So amazing, but I really enjoyed it for that matter, and just reading about these two characters that are so flawed, but they came together so beautifully. So I really recommend this book. If you're not interested in Kdk Doug's books because you haven't heard the best things about them, I recommend this one. I thought this one was my favorite by hers by far. Then I have Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesco Zappia, and this book teeters on like the really cute, adorable. I would almost consider it a little bit more cute, adorable, but it deals a lot with mental health, which I really enjoyed. In this book, we follow our main character, Eliza, who is a web artist. She created this web series called Monstrous Sea, and it is insanely popular. It's huge. It's really popular on Wattpad, and a lot of, like, millions upon millions of people follow this webcomic each and every week, and she creates it. And then she meets another guy at school, and she learns that he is Monstrous Sea's biggest fan fiction writer. So they quickly form a relationship, a friendship, and maybe becoming more. She does not know that she created Monstrous Sea. So, and Eliza deals a lot with, you know, keeping her secret identity from everyone that knows that she has created Monstrous Sea. She deals a lot with pressure and anxiety and mental health, so I really loved that aspect of this book, and how you know, it's hard when you have a job and you really love it, but it feels a lot of pressure onto it too. So I really liked it for that matter. It was kind of like ooey gooey, fluffy romance and cute stuff as well, but it dealt with mental health, which I really appreciated. So that's why I'm putting it like in the hard hitting ones. It'll make you smile a lot, but it'll also make you feel a lot of empathy. You'll learn a lot about Eliza and her mental health and things like that. So I really enjoyed it. My last book I want to talk about is Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. This book is also, I would say, kind of light and fluffy, but also deals with a lot of important issues. In this book, we follow Maya, who is a 17-year-old American-born Muslim teenager, and she really wants to go to NYU and pursue her dream of being a filmmaker, and her parents do not want that. They live in Chicago. They want her to go to a local college to keep their eye on her, and they just want her to be close at home and really value and respect the Muslim wishes that they have for her. And a terrorist attack happens really close to Chicago, and attacker's name has the same last name as Maya's family, only it's not anybody in her family. So her family gets under a lot of scrutiny, and they, you know, things happen to them, like people throw rocks through her dad's office window. They vandalize their home. They really come after, you know, Maya and her family because they are Muslim, and it just really shows you what it's like to be a Muslim teenager living in the US and how hard it can be. And it just really it really opened your eyes up to that, and I really enjoyed it for that matter. It does have a really cute romance in it that'll make you smile, but I really appreciate it for the fact of its talk on diversity and the Muslim community at that in America. I love this one. So I said that was the last book I'm talking about. There are a couple I just want to mention quickly that I haven't read yet, but I've heard that are really good, hard-hitting books. The first one is A List of Cages by Robyn Benway. A lot of people were gushing about this last year. I have yet to read it. I will read it eventually. I think this one deals a lot about two main characters, Adam and Julian, and one of them has been in the foster care system a lot, and it also deals with ADHD. So I think those are two really big components of this book, and a lot of people say it's a very hard-hitting contemporary book and it makes them cry. So I definitely want to read this soon. I just want to throw that out here in this video in case you're looking for something along those lines. And the other one is You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone by Lynde Suliman. This deals with Huntington's disease, which I don't read a ton of books or hear about a ton of books about that. We have two twin sisters that their mom has actually been diagnosed with Huntington's disease. So the sisters decided to get tested and see if it's in their genes, and one of them has a gene and one of them doesn't. So it's all about, you know, knowing that you're going to have this disease eventually in your life and what to do with it, and also dealing with their mother. I also believe their family is Jewish as well in this, and their mom finds a lot of comfort in her religion and her Jewish tradition and things like that. So I definitely want to read this one. Actually, both of them very soon, but I just wanted to talk about them quickly. So there you have it. There are some hard-hitting contemporary books. I know it's probably not a lot. I honestly don't read a ton of them because they're hard to read, hence why I'm saying hard-hitting contemporary books, but I still enjoy them every now and then. It's just kind of nice to read something that will kick you right in your gut, honestly, but not all the time. Either way, if you have any recommendations for me of hard-hitting contemporary books that I need to read, please let me know. And if you liked any of these books, also please let me know. And if you also enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.